evening and welcome. You're watching the 7 o'clock news on CNC3. I'm Ria Rambali.
I'm Ryan Bachu.
I am Jassi Maruk with sport.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rampazad with your weather.
Let's tell you what's making the news tonight. Pension amendment bill passed in the Senate. Government gets independent votes to support legislation that will deny Stuart Young a prime ministerial pension.
Growing fear and uncertainty as CPAP workers face the reality of job losses following contract terminations.
Ahead in sport, Club Sando hunts back-to-back TNT Women's League football titles, advancing past UTT in the quarterfinals.
We have a short break from the rainy conditions. I'll let you know when we can expect the next tropical wave in tonight's weather report.
There will be no prime ministerial pension for Stuart Young. This after the Prime Minister's pension amendment bill was passed in the Senate just moments ago. 20 members, including 15 government and 5 independent senators, voted for, while the 6 opposition and 4 independent senators abstained.
The bill seeks to introduce a requirement for prime ministers to hold the position for at least a year before qualifying for the pension. But before the contentious debate kicked off, Senate President Wade Mark issued a forceful rebuke over what he described as attempts to undermine the independent bench.
His warning comes a day after UNC spokesperson Dr. Kirk Mayhew questioned their impartiality and whether they will block the Prime Minister's pension amendment bill.
During the debate, the independent senators did not hold back on their thoughts about the contentious law seeking to disqualify Stuart Young from accessing an annual payout of $1 million. Jesse Ramdale tells us more.
Senate President Wade Mark has intervened, issuing a scathing condemnation against attempts to bully and intimidate independent senators.
When words or actions cross the line into harassment, intimidation, or attempts to shame senators for how they vote, or pressure them to vote in a particular way, that is something entirely different, and it will not be tolerated.
His rebuke during Monday's Senate sitting came ahead of the debate on the Prime Minister's Pension Amendment Bill 2025. Recent assertions surrounding the contentious legislation drew Mark's ire. Just one day before, the UNC accused the independent senators of being agents of the PNM and biased.
There are no independent senators, despite the way people talk about them. The Constitution contains no such term. They are presidential senators. And in this case, they've been appointed by President Christine Kangaloo, a long-standing and deeply embedded figure within the People's National Movement.
Mark cautioned against behavior that threatened the sovereignty of the upper house.
Such actions strike at the very heart of parliamentary democracy and may constitute a serious breach of privilege.
He further pledged to protect senators from both sides of the aisle. As debate kicked off, Attorney General John Jeremy maintained the legislation was not aimed at punishing anyone in particular, but at least 2 independent senators pushed back.
In my opinion, if this bill is allowed to pass, we in the Senate will have to take responsibility for establishing a bad precedent.
Piggybacking off Anthony Vieira's concerns, Candace Jones-Simmons, another independent senator, added the element of fairness with the law.
And if we as legislators begin to draft laws to deal with persons rather than principles, we're going down a slippery slope that could undermine the very legitimacy of this very House.
The bill needs a 3/5 majority to pass, meaning the government will need at least 4 votes from either the opposition or independent benches. Jesse Ramdale, CNC3 News.
While the opposition PNM called the government's bill a direct political attack against Stuart Young, independent Senator Courtney McNeish could not get on board with the fact that a prime minister should be awarded exorbitant amounts of money simply because of a title instead of service. He was among the 5 independent senators who voted for the bill this evening.
But how can I stand among my colleagues, my compatriots, my professionals, and justify $1 million a year for a month and a half of service. I think the government is attempting to plug a hole that existed so that fairness and equity and good governance could prevail.
And Independent Senator Michael Simon Victor de Labastide says the objective of the bill is to rectify inequity that exists between the average taxpayer and those in high political offices.
De Labastide says there are taxpayers who are struggling, yet their taxes will be going towards the Prime Minister's pension. As such, he does not believe the retrospective legislation is unconstitutional.
Their taxes are going to fund a pension that is being given to someone who has done maybe 30 days of service, but who is walking away with a pension of $87,000 a month, and they maybe are not getting a pension.
The government once again rejected all proposals made by independent and opposition senators for amendments to the Prime Minister's Pension Amendment Bill. Now, analysts are backing government's concerns about the role of independent senators, all of whom are appointed by the president.
But Professor Hamid Ghani says while criticism of past votes is fair game, any attempt to intimidate senators over future decisions is unacceptable, and he supports the Senate president's ruling on the matter. Still, Professor Ghani is raising serious concerns over the independent bench after 8 of 9 senators changed their votes on the repeal of the TTRA bill, switching positions in under 10 minutes. He calls the flip-flop unprecedented and deeply troubling.
So I'm still grappling, trying to understand how you could move from abstain to no, or how you could even move worse yet from yes to no. And one person moved from yes to abstain. Only one of those senators remained consistent, from abstain to abstain. All the rest gave different votes to what they gave in committee 7 minutes before.
Meanwhile, political analyst Dr. Winford James is calling for constitutional reform to address growing concerns about the independence of senators appointed by the president. He says the current system breeds distrust and is urging both public dialogue and strong political will to drive meaningful change.
We need to eliminate the suspicion that people appointed to the presidential office, people appointed as independent senators, are acting true independent. Not that you're going to wipe out all of the suspicions that we have in it, but at least you're going to get greater fairness, greater objectivity than what the current appointment process generates.
Well, we reached out to former independent senator and attorney Hazel Thompson IE, who pushed back against criticism from the UNC's public relations officer over Senate voting records.
She says it is nonsensical to judge independence based on how often a senator votes with the government, arguing true independence is shown in how legislation is scrutinized, challenged, and shaped.
Well, in light of the accusation leveled against the independent senators, today we asked whether you agreed with the government's concern.
Here's what you had to tell us.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
We should leave them to look at the bills that are proposed independently and not put any kind of pressure on them to really vote for any side.
It's possible, but we don't know how strong it's going here, you know. It's kind of half and half, but like they're not too sure still.
I don't agree with it because it have so many other things to focus on that pinpointing and picking on people like that, it's not really helping anything.
I honestly don't think it's fair that the government would state that the people are being biased to the parties.
I believe that the current government is bullying the independent senators, and I believe that they should allow them to maintain their independence without biased opinions.
The government, they are trying to, at this time, make a clean sweep and change up things. So if they see any red flags, they would highlight it, in my opinion.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
Still to come in the news, High Court halts Police Association's elections over candidate eligibility and payment concerns.
Police deny media reports of missing file in DCP Suzette Martin's probe.
Coming up in sport, as TNT's golfers line up a run at the Caribbean Amateur Championship, we hear from them on the men's and women's captains.
At Bagwansing's, Port of Spain and Chaguanas, we are committed to providing quality products for all major building projects. Let's build together with rebars and beams, BRC coils and mats, RHS and angles, roofing sheets and purlins, lumber, plywood and MDF. Bagwansing's, building homes, building communities, building TNT for over 60 years. Bagwansing's, Port of Spain and Chaguanas, building value every day.
Several former CPAP workers are tonight afraid of losing their homes and sole source of income.
The workers went to the company's headquarters in St. Madeleine today seeking answers, but left disappointed and afraid for their future. Last Friday, the government terminated CPAP contracts, and the opposition claims over 10,000 people are affected. Among them is 50-year-old Vishnu Maraj, a father of 3 who has a child with cerebral palsy. He had been working as a CPAP laborer for 25 years. As a lone breadwinner of his family, he tells CNC3 News he's afraid of losing his home because he can no longer pay his mortgage, provide for his children, or put food on the table. Despite government's decision, he's still hoping to get back his job, but in the meantime, he wants CPAP to write him a letter for HDC to pause his mortgage until he's rehired or finds another source of income.
I really don't know what to do. They come like everything shut down me. The breadwinner in the house lost, so everybody lost. I was the breadwinner, I didn't have to bring in a dollar, and today I don't have a work, so everybody has to hold on.
Another worker, Emmanuel Brown, a father of 1, said he depends on his CPAP salary as he has no family to help him. And June Joseph, a single mother, is also worried. The loss of her job means she cannot provide for her 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren.
Because I have my bills to pay, I have my insurance to pay. I'm only doing this to people right about now. School closing, and this is the time I'll do this. I got to buy books, and now is not the time to be doing this.
Opposition leader Penelope Beckles and her colleagues have organized a legal team to explore legal action against government for terminating the CPAP contracts.
Meanwhile, Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarath has assured CPAP workers that the government will be putting policies in place to provide more sustainable jobs. To some other news now, the main investigator in the Suzette Martin inquiry says, contrary to media reports, no file pertaining to the matter has gone missing.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Kurt Simon says the investigation is proceeding as planned, as he maintained no request was made by Martin on the matter.
But with the probe underway, questions remain unanswered over whether Martin will be suspended. Shane Superville has more.
As investigations continue into DCP Suzette Martin, there are concerns that the probe may have hit a major block with the loss of a crucial file on the matter. But ACP Kurt Simon told CNC3 News that claims of a lost file are simply not true.
No file in this investigation, anything touching this investigation is missing. And I saw something where somebody said the DCP and I requested that I produce a file to her. There has not been any such requests coming my way.
But even if the investigation is proceeding as planned, there are questions over whether DCP Suzette Martin will remain in office until the matter's completion. Last week, Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara made it clear that only the Police Service Commission can answer questions over Martin's appointment and leave. CNC3 News has been sending questions and seeking updates from the Commission since last week. However, no response was received up to news time. Calls to the Commission's chairman, Dr. Wendell Wallace, also went unanswered. But criminologist Darius Figuera said continued silence from the Commission could possibly do more harm than good, especially when the memory of the arrest and suspension of former top cop Erla Harewood Christopher is still clear to many.
And then it raises again the whole question in the eyes of the public that is there sacred cows in the police service, whilst your commissioner, your former commissioner, was not certainly a sacred cow.
For this reason, he warned that the Police Service Commission should address the matter sooner rather than later.
The longer you remain silent, you are eroding any public faith in your operational integrity. Because remember, they set a standard with former Commissioner Ola Christopher Harewood, which they are now applying selectively.
And with no further updates over what the inquiry may reveal or when it may be concluded, concerns over fairness and transparency are clear both in and out of the TTPS. Shane Superville, CNC3 News.
High Court Judge Frank C. Prasad today blocked the scheduled elections of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association. C. Prasad granted the injunction after 7 police officers raised concerns about the eligibility of candidates and the collection of dues from members not covered by the Police Service Act. The emergency injunction stops the association from proceeding with its internal elections and temporarily disqualifies former President Anand Ramisa from contesting, pending a full hearing on whether he is lawfully eligible to run. The officers operating under the banner Voices in Blue argued that the association improperly collected dues and exercised authority over Special Reserve Police officers, municipal police and transit police officers who fall outside the legal scope of the Police Service Act. Association President Gideon Dixon confirms the election committee is discussing the matter. Attempts to contact Ramisa and other candidates were futile.
High Court Judge Justice Ricky Rahim dismissed a motion by a Special Reserve Police officer to have a tribunal into alleged misconduct thrown out. In his ruling, Rahim didn't agree with the officer's claim that the unique delay in her matter was prejudicial. While he found that the actions of public servants in the matter were not in the best interests of good administration, he ruled that dismissing the tribunal altogether was not a sufficient response. The officer, who is also a clerk in the public service, is being accused of misconduct by neglecting her job as a clerk in order to take up shifts as an SRP, a claim the officer denies. Rahim also ordered the officer to pay the legal costs of the Police Service Commission.
3 appeal court judges have ruled that the treatment of a Special Reserve Police officer, Winston Charles, was unjust and ordered that he be compensated after he was told to accept a demotion to join the police service. Charles sought legal action in 2001, and the matter was only heard 17 years later and dismissed. The judges found that the trial judge was wrong to dismiss the matter. They agreed that Charles was treated unequally and suffered a contravention of his right to equality of treatment under the Constitution. They also ruled that the failure of the state to make regulations for management of Special Reserve Police officers constitutes a contravention of Charles's right to the protection.
2 advisors to former Central Bank Governor Dr. Alvin Hilaire have left the bank. Central Bank sources told CNC3 News that newly appointed Governor Larry Hawaii chose not to renew the contracts of Hilaire's legal and its advisors, which had come to an end.
The bank terminated Hilaire's employment just last week, but the government has not explained the circumstances. Hilaire became governor in December 2015 after the previous administration terminated Jawala Ramparan. Well, after 5 years, the RIK bookstore has returned to Port of Spain.
And in other business news, Legal Affairs Minister Saddam Hussein is emphasizing the need for greater regional cooperation regarding intellectual property and competition policy.
Geisha Kalesa Alonso has the details in tonight's Business Watch.
When the COVID-19 pandemic struck TNT 5 years ago, several businesses were forced to shut their doors, one being RIK Bookstore on Queen Street in Port of Spain. However, the bookstore has returned to its iconic location on Monday. Director Alex Steele shares with Business Watch the journey of reopening.
The past 5 years have been a lot of trial and error. The store unfortunately closed down due to COVID. You know, COVID was a very unexpected thing that a lot of business owners had to scamper to try and combat, and we had to close down the store because that was the best measures for us to do personally. However, we wanted to be here in the community of Port of Spain.
Steele also explains how the store is competing with the digital age.
Yes, you can get everything on your phone for free, but it doesn't beat having that in your hand. Something you can hold. It's something that people take for granted.
Steele hopes that the passion he has for reading will be embraced by all, including the younger generation. In other business news, Legal Affairs Minister Saddam Hussein says when it comes to intellectual property and competition policy, the sharing of information is critical even on a regional scale.
They enable competition authorities, IP offices, and regulatory bodies across countries to share practical insights, align enforcement strategies, and craft frameworks that are not only legally sound, but also contextually appropriate for our economies.
The minister adds that intellectual property and competition policy can work hand in hand by fostering the creation of new ideas and ensuring those ideas reach the market in ways that are dynamic. The minister was speaking at the opening of a workshop on intellectual property and competition policy for Caribbean competition agencies. And now for a look at today's energy and forex prices. Aisha Kaulesa Alonso, CNC3 Business Watch.
Chief Secretary Fali Augustine says the Tobago House of Assembly is providing additional state land to support Hilton's Roxborough Resort development in Tobago East. Although Hilton only formally announced the Tobago project this month, Augustine says construction began a while ago. The Chief Secretary says he visited the site earlier this year and notes that meetings with developers began last August under a non-disclosure agreement.
The THA is supporting. We are actually in the process of organizing some additional lands for the hotel development because that's a mixed type of development. So there is a traditional, hotel component.
Augustine said it is a perfect development to simulate economic activities on that side of the island. He added the construction of this facility marks the return of Hilton to Tobago, which is a good sign in international confidence to do business on the island.
It will be the very first branded hotel on island in Tobago East. It also signals the return of Hilton brand to Tobago, which is a good sign for the economy and shows that there is still confidence in the Tobago space. And this hotel development is actually out front, in front of Marriott, Sanders, any of the others, because they already have construction happening on the ground as we speak.
Augustine said the THA's support shows confidence in Tobago's economy, but he warned that investment processes must be improved to avoid long delays.
A man believed to be homeless was killed and his left leg severed in what police are labeling a hit-and-run accident. Around 5 a.m. on Sunday, a 25-year-old penal man reported he was heading south along the Uriah Butler Highway and saw the body of the man near the Grand Bazaar overpass. Police believe the deceased is homeless. His left foot was found some 100 feet away from the body, along with debris from a vehicle. Police say there was no report of any accident in the area, suggesting that the man was killed in a hit-and-run.
Police are investigating the rape of a 25-year-old Arima woman by a relative of her neighbor. Police reported that around 12:30 a.m. yesterday, the woman was outside her home when she and the neighbor had a verbal altercation. During the argument, the neighbor's ex-boyfriend picked up the woman and carried her into her apartment where he allegedly raped her. He left around 9 a.m., at which time the woman reported the matter to the police. Let's tell you what's still to come in the news tonight. SEA 2025 results go online on July 3rd. The Education Ministry says no school distribution this year.
We had mostly sunny, hazy and breezy conditions today over Trinidad and Tobago. The Saharan dust also returned, with the EMA stations showing a gradual increase in the concentration over the course of today. I'll let you know how the tropical waves are progressing and an update on Tropical Storm Flossie coming up just after the break.
Looking for a supermarket that has it all? Welcome to Food Shopper Supermarket, where big really means big. Enjoy secure parking, spacious aisles, and a spotless modern store that makes shopping a breeze. From fresh produce to everyday essentials, you'll find unbeatable prices and friendly staff who are happy to help. We offer a safe and secure gated compound with a large parking facility for your shopping needs. Number 121 Eastern Main Road, Ariba, Clear Trading Compound, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Food Shopper Supermarket. Every day, low prices.
Don't forget our grand celebration, June 28th. Bring the whole family.
Before you take your omega-3 supplement, check for the natural products number NPN on the label. This unique code shows that Jameson products have approved rigorous Health Canada testing for safety and effectiveness. Unlike some supplements that carry disclaimers like not approved by the FDA, Jameson Omega-3 is the trusted choice, offering 1,800 milligrams of EPA and DHA for heart health. Choose quality. Choose Jameson.
Discover Regal Granola. Crunchy, flavorful, bursting with berries, seeds, Regal almonds, walnuts, pecans. High in fiber with real orange juice. Get Regal Granola, the perfect snack for your lunchbox.
Manage inflammation with Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, powerful, natural anti-inflammatory supplement that has helped millions find relief from their pain, just like world-renowned cricketer Dwayne Bravo.
Don't wait until it's too late. Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL. Omega XL helps us to work hard, play hard. This is your champion, DJ Bravo, and I approve this message.
Live healthy, stay strong with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food store today.
Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket. Get it all at Southern Food Basket. Fresh goods on every aisle with best prices. For the best mix and market, high quality, yes, it's affordable, spacious and customer friendly. From the farm to the cart to your plate, Southern Food Basket, good food at great prices. Come on home, everybody, don't you wait. Southern Food Basket's the best marketplace for you. Southern Food Basket, quality food to fill your basket. Southern Food Basket, quality food to fill your basket.
So I hear Better Homes has the best kitchens.
You heard right. We have Shaker style, modern Euro, and hardwood.
I like this one. Can I test it right here, right now?
Sure, but how are you gonna do that?
All right, you all, come inside. Are you ready?
Time to live. Oh, a spice rack.
Soft closed door hinges. Oh, this countertop's nice, well. It's hot,
So, what do you think?
Well, this 100%.
Is it.
I'll take it.
Build the kitchen you love for less at Better Homes, Caroni or French Street.
The moment my children came into my life, I do everything I can for them to live healthy, enjoyable lives. Nature's Ways Alive Kids Gummies are multivitamin gummies meant to support the development of children's bodies. They come in delicious fruit flavors and contain natural plant-based pectin. This means that if I'm looking for an alternative to animal-based gelatin for personal reasons, they are the best choice for my little ones. Choose Alive Kids Gummies by Nature's Way for your children because they deserve it.
The Education Ministry has announced that SEA results will be available online from 11 p.m. on Thursday.
Almost 18,000 students sat this year's exam on April 10th. The ministry says results will not be distributed by schools. Instead, parents and guardians must access the ministry's SEA results portal. Private candidates who lost their slips should contact the ministry's examination section by email or phone. The ministry congratulated all SEA students and wishes them success as they start their secondary school journey.
Tonight's weather report brought to you by Redoxon.
John Mark's hair, and we had a lot of rain this weekend, and it also added to the traffic woes.
Yes, a lot of traffic.
Everybody being paid as well, getting paid, and then that just made a lot of fuss. But what about this week?
This week we started off pretty well with some sunshine and a bit of haze. Once we get the break from the rain, the Saharan dust moves in, and we can expect that going into tomorrow. So let's take a look and see how it is on the satellite. Now, tropical wave 11 passed today, but a rather weak wave compared to the most recent ones, and the bulk of the moisture was actually south of us, giving South America some showers and isolated thunderstorms. Now, off to our east, we have a bit of a gap until tropical wave number 12, and in there we have, within that gap, we have some Saharan dust, which will last over the next couple of days. Now, there is some moisture ahead of the wave just about here, which can give us some rainfall on Wednesday, so I'll be keeping my eye on that. And following closely behind tropical wave number 12 is number 13, which is expected over the weekend. So zooming into the region, mostly fair conditions across the island chain today, just some isolated showers. There is a low-level trough in this area here, just east of the Lesser Antilles, as there's a subtle swirl in the clouds, but no sign of significant activity expected out of that. Just a few showers favoring the windwards tomorrow. Now, our forecast for tonight, mostly fair conditions with a light breeze, overnight lows of 24 in Trinidad and 25 in Tobago. Tomorrow, we can expect sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions to continue. We'll have moderate Saharan dust around, but it's still expected to fluctuate over the next few days as those tropical waves approach. Sea conditions are moderate, with waves in open waters up to 2 meters and less than 1 meter in sheltered areas. Winds are expected to be out of the east-northeast at 15 knots. Now, looking ahead, some of that moisture we were looking at is expected to move in as early as Wednesday morning, so we'll have a medium chance of thunderstorms then, and then that drops to a low chance on Thursday. Friday and Saturday are shaping up to be relatively mixed days, with partly cloudy conditions and some showers mixed in there. Winds are expected to be on the lighter side again on Saturday, so maybe the chance of the odd afternoon thunderstorm. But let's see how this week progresses first. Now let's head over to the Eastern Pacific, where we have Tropical Storm Flossie. It is gradually strengthening and should become a hurricane within the next 24 hours. It is expected to continue skirting Mexico's western coastline, passing very close to Baja California. And just to be clear, it poses absolutely no threat to Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the National Hurricane Center is also monitoring 2 disturbances with low chances of development over the next 7 days. One over Florida, associated with the remnants of a frontal system, and the other in the Eastern Pacific, which is most likely to develop after Flossie moves off to the northwest.
Tonight's weather report brought to you by Redoxon.
Flossie flossing its way along the coastline there. I'm glad to hear it poses no threat to us.
No threat to Trinidad and Tobago whatsoever.
Right. Thank you so much, John Mark. Well, still to come in the news, RIK wants the Education Ministry to reconsider its decision over textbook lists.
Chiclesia Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split piece powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust Chiclesia Limited, 665-3336.
ChatGPT, I'm falling.
Failing grades? Contact Student Hub.
I ain't say failing, I say falling.
Then it's time to stop failing. Student Hub helps students succeed online. If school feels like a free fall, Student Hub helps you land on top.
Asafa Powell, the Jamaican sprinting icon who shattered the 100-meter world record and redefined the limits of human speed, reveals the relentless drive that fuels his journey.
Omega XL, this good for your giants, them.
Try Omega XL, it works.
In today's fast-paced competitive job market, certification courses provide individuals with flexible and industry-relevant learning options. Increase your chances of employment with a certification course at CTS College. We have over 50 courses in business, IT, do-it-yourself or professional development to choose from, all developed by industry experts. Courses start as low as $200 and can be completed in as little as 1 day, allowing you to acquire the relevant skills you need quickly and affordably. Contact CTS College today to sign up.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. That's big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop 2021 Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Pleasance Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958.
Konnichiwa!
I thought she was a mighty key. So I just want to sing a little extempo for you, what me and Mommy will make up. So start the music, DJ. I did take my supplements, yes I do. Oh my God, it's really working for you. This help my body feel just right so I can focus in day and in the night. Their dreams need a healthy start, so I'm taking care of my body in every part. Hey.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Welcome back. General Manager of RIK Services Limited, Mohan Baldeo, is tonight asking the Education Ministry to reconsider its decision to maintain the current list of textbooks ahead of the new school year.
At the reopening of the bookstore on Queen Street in Port of Spain earlier today, Baldeo, responding to the ministry's decision, said the syllabi for some CSEC and CAPE examinations have changed and therefore new materials may be needed. CNC3 News understands there were changes to both the CSEC Social Studies and Integrated Science syllabi as well as in CAPE Communication Studies.
The minister and his advisors may want to probably consider subject areas which would have changed and probably give some consideration to that. Definitely for subjects where there have been changes in syllabi, they should probably give some consideration to that, because making recommendations back on the old list and asking parents to buy those old books from the list, to me, I don't really see it making much sense.
Last year, the Booksellers Association of TNT lamented an uptick in shoplifting at bookstores across the country during the July-August vacation. Baldeo said they have implemented measures to deter shoplifting.
You would see cameras. You would see we have a scanner at the front. Our items we have are coded electronically. We have security. We have implemented measures, as a business that, we and hope and pray that nothing really serious really comes out of people coming to shoplift and pilferage items.
A 33-year-old woman was arrested in Port of Spain bookstore last year after attempting to steal books.
All right, let's hand you over now to Jassy Marik for a look at sport. Jassy.
Thank you, guys. After the break, one critic says the West Indies batters are just not up for test match cricket. And Sabalenka braves the London Heat for a winning start at Wimbledon. Stick around, sport is next.